Okay, so we all know Doctor Doom is coming to the MCU. And yeah, we're expecting the whole shebang. Armies, crazy magic, technology that could just shatter worlds. But what if all of that is just a big distraction? What if the most brilliant villain in all of Marvel has a plan that's so much more subtle, so elegant, that his most important weapons are actually heroes hiding in plain sight? We're about to break down a theory that suggests Doctor Doom's ultimate victory isn't about conquering worlds at all, but about capturing two very, very specific people.
Right, so just forget everything you think you know about these huge cosmic battles and epic wars. The theory we're diving into today suggests that Doctor Doom's path to literally becoming a god, it doesn't require some infinite army or another reality-bending gauntlet. Note, his entire multiversal plan, the one that could lead straight into Avengers Doomsday, might just boil down to two heroes he can use as his ultimate secret weapon.
And there it is, the heart of this whole thing. Spider-Man and Wolverine. Not as enemies he needs to beat, but as tools. Tools to be used. Now look, this isn't just some random theory somebody cooked up online. This idea is built on a really solid foundation of evidence, starting with decades of comic book history, and more importantly, it's backed up by new rules and concepts the MCU has been quietly setting up right under our noses. So, let's get into it.
You know, to really understand where Doom is going, we've got to look at where he's been. His entire history in the comics, it gives us this perfect blueprint for how he operates. He's a master of science, a master of sorcery, but above all else, he is a creature of habit. And his most famous habit? It involves stealing power that no mortal was ever meant to touch.
I mean, just look at the consistency here. It's wild. Back in 1984, during the very first Secret Wars, he steals the power of the Beyonder, a being who is pretty much all-powerful. Then you fast forward 30 years to 2015, and guess what? He does it again, this time siphoning power from an entire race of Beyonders. This is not a one-time thing for him. It's his signature move. When Doom is faced with a god, he doesn't try to fight it. He finds a way to become it. But the real secret isn't what he does, it's how he does it.
And that brings us to this absolutely critical concept, the living conduit. Think of it like this. It's a transformer for cosmic energy. You can't just plug your lamp directly into a power plant, right? It would just vaporize. You need something in the middle to step down that energy. Well, for Doctor Doom, when he's dealing with the power of the gods, he needs a living being to act as that filter. He never, ever takes that raw cosmic energy directly because he's smart enough to know it would completely obliterate him.
And this just perfectly lays out his two-step process. First, he has to find and get his hands on a conduit. In the 80s, he used the body of Claw, the villain made of pure sound. In 2015, he used Molecule Man, a guy with insane reality-warping powers. And then, step 2, he uses that conduit to soak up all that raw, untamed cosmic power. Only after it's been processed, after it's been filtered through that living being, does the energy then flow safely into him. Remember this method, it's not one person taking all the power. It's a two-being system.
All right, so that's the comic book history. But you're probably asking, how in the world does that connect to the movies? Well, this is where things get really, really interesting. The MCU has already, and very quietly, laid all the groundwork for this exact principle. And the biggest clue wasn't in some big Avengers movie or a cosmic epic. No, it was hidden in plain sight in Deadpool and Wolverine.
Let's talk about that scene with the Time Ripper. On the surface, yeah, it's an amazing action sequence with a great soundtrack. But it is so much more than that. That scene was a deliberate piece of world building, establishing a brand new fundamental rule about how cosmic energy works in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. A rule that a guy like Doctor Doom could, and almost certainly will, exploit.
And the rule is actually pretty simple, but it changes everything. Remember what Mr. Paradox said. Any single person who tried to mess with the Time Ripper's energy flow would be instantly disintegrated. It's just too much for one person to handle, even someone with a healing factor. But what actually happened? Deadpool and Wolverine, they did it together. They shared the cosmic load, splitting that destructive force between the two of them. And because they both have those incredible healing factors, they were able to survive something that should have turned them to dust. The MCU just flat out told us, two beings can withstand what one cannot.
And believe it or not, that survival rule wasn't even the only bombshell concept they dropped on us in that movie. We also learned about something called anchor beings. Now, an anchor being isn't just another hero. They are the literal linchpin of their entire reality. Their very existence is woven into the fabric of their universe so tightly that if they die, the universe itself starts to unravel and die right along with them. This just elevates certain characters from being merely important to being cosmically essential.
So we found out that the Wolverine we see in that film, the one from the Logan timeline, he was the anchor being for his reality. His death is what caused it to decay. And that immediately raises this massive question, one that's probably going to define the whole multiverse saga. If he was his universe's anchor, then who is the anchor for the main MCU timeline, our Earth 616? Who is that one hero whose existence is holding our entire reality together?
Well, all the signs are pointing directly at Peter Parker. Just think about his sacrifice at the end of No Way Home. That wasn't just about saving his friends. It was about stopping the entire multiverse from collapsing in on itself. By making everyone forget him, he severed the connections that were tearing reality apart. He stabilized the multiverse, basically proving his status as the central anchor of the MCU, and probably delaying whatever Doom was planning in the process.
Okay, so let's assemble the plan. Let's put the pieces on the board. We've got the comic book precedent. Doom always uses a living conduit. We've got the new MCU rules. Two people can share a deadly cosmic force, and these anchor beings are cosmically significant. Now we can start to see how a mind like Dr. Doom's would connect all these dots and build his master plan.
So what does a guy like Doom need to become a god? First, he's going to need some unbelievably advanced tech. The source? Galactus's abandoned ship, which we already know is going to be a big deal in the new Fantastic Four movie. Second, he needs cosmic knowledge, basically the blueprints of the multiverse. He could get that by taking over the TVA and all of its archives. But the most important piece, the one he absolutely needs, is his living conduits. And thanks to the TVA, he'd learn all about the Time Ripper incident and this whole anchor being concept. He'd realize he needs not one, but two cosmically important beings with healing abilities, Wolverine and the anchor of the main MCU, Spider-Man.
And now we get to the end game. This is how all the pieces snap together. During the events of Avengers Doomsday, when all those incursions are ripping the multiverse apart, Doom is not going to be playing by the same rules as Thanos. He's not there for a big, messy brawl. He's there to execute a plan with surgical, terrifying precision. So here's how this whole gambit could play out. Step 1, capture. Doom's main goal isn't going to be to defeat the Avengers. It's to capture his two key assets, Spider-Man and Wolverine. Step 2, harness. He'll wait for that perfect moment when the incursions across the multiverse are at their absolute peak, releasing an unimaginable amount of raw cosmic energy. Step 3, channel. He'll use his tech to force Spider-Man and Wolverine into being his living conduits, just like they were at the Time Ripper, making them absorb that god-level power. And finally, step 4, become. That filtered, survivable power flows directly into him, and in that instant, Victor Von Doom becomes God Emperor Doom.
But hold on, there's one more twist to all this. A really shocking piece of secret history from the comics that could have massive implications for the MCU. You see, the transfer of power from the Beyonders to Doom, it wasn't as clean as everyone thought. There was a secret, infinitesimally small moment in between that changed everything. And this is the bombshell, before all that cosmic power finally settled inside of Dr. Doom. For 1/1000th of a second, the energy passed through his conduits. And in that one fleeting moment, Peter Parker became a god.
Just think about what that means. In less than a blink of an eye, Peter created a perfect world and even brought his Uncle Ben back to life. He proved he could wield that power with a pure heart. But just as fast, Doom finalized the transfer, took all the power for himself, and then wiped Peter's memory of it ever happening. Now, just imagine that in the MCU. What if during Doom's big power-up, Peter gets just a tiny glimpse of that power, a flash of a future where they can win, or a clue to how Doom can be beaten, buried deep down in his subconscious?
Whew! Okay, we have covered a lot of ground here, from classic comics all the way to the MCU's newest rules. So let's just bring it all home and recap the core pillars that make this theory so compelling. This whole theory, it really rests on these three solid pillars. First, you've got the comic book precedent. Doom has a consistent, decades-long history of using conduits to steal godlike power. He never takes it directly. Second, you have the brand new MCU rule from Deadpool and Wolverine. Two people working together can survive cosmic forces that would vaporize a single person. And pillar number 3, the anchor being concept, which gives characters like Wolverine and almost certainly Spider-Man a fundamental cosmic significance that makes them the absolute perfect candidates for Doom's plan. And all of that brings us to our final big question. We've laid out exactly how Spider-Man could be the unwilling key to Dr. Doom's rise to godhood. But
If the comics are anything to go by, that tiny moment where Peter Parker touches that infinite power could be the very thing that leads to Doom's ultimate downfall. So is he the secret weapon for the villain or for the heroes? And that's the question we're left with.